Hello and welcome to Phat Monkey 404. Today we are building a rocket which would be etched into human history forever. It's the Saturn V rocket that took humankind to the moon. This is another set kindly lent to me by my Boss Leigh Goodchild. Still trying to convince him to lend me his Concorde though, because he's still not opened it yet. I really do want to do that one. Saturn V was 111 metres long and was a three-stage design that weighed 2.8 million kilos, 6.2 million pounds when fully fueled. It was the backbone to the whole Apollo project to take man to the moon. This was finally accomplished on the 20th of July 1969 with the Apollo 11 mission that took Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Collins to be the first humans on the moon. And as Collins' famous line goes, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. How big this rocket is, it's mad to think that this is not even the biggest one made at the moment. The SpaceX Starship is 120 metres tall. If and when it gets to space, I think there's all testing programs and all that in a minute, but yeah, that's humongous as well. The real Saturn V is massive, so it was only right that LEGO made this massive set too. This damn thing's a metre tall once complete and is the third tallest set LEGO has ever released, only being beaten by the two Eiffel Towers. I didn't realise there was two. I know there was one, but you had a 108 centimetre one, which is still big but doesn't look quite as good, but the 149 centimetre, the new one, is humongous, 1.5 metres tall. This set number is 21309, has 1,969 pieces of 12 bags. Let's get cracking. And that's a wrap. As I said, there's an absolute beast of a set. You get two little mini builds. As you can see, this is the Mars lander, and then you've got another one of it in the ocean, obviously when the capsule hits the ocean with the inflatable ring around it. It did come, or is supposed to come, with little stands, little blue stands. There's three of them that holds the rocket up on its side. Unfortunately, you didn't have them. I've told them what pieces it needs, and he's going to try and get them. There's a couple of other pieces missing on the upper stages. You didn't have the rocket engine, what should be there either, which was a bit of a shame. But he's been told about this, so you could buy the spare parts. But it's an absolute awesome set. Fantastic set, so glad I've done it, and thank you very much, Lee, for that, to lend me that. But yeah, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Bit of a long one, but till next time, adios. If you enjoyed the video, here's two more to pick from. Enjoy!